to give you guys some game on what he's been doing with our text verified final expense lead. So Shareef, thank you for hopping back on, brother.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me.
Of course, bro. All right, cool. So we're gonna hop right into this. For those that don't know, you can go watch our other episode. We're gonna go through who he is, what he does. But I want to talk about our text verified final expense leads. He was actually the first person to start running them and is still running them. But from a high level, brother, before we get into the nitty gritty, can you walk the agents through the text verified final expense leads thus far and just like kind of your experience, bro, in terms of having conversations, etc. And then we'll get into the details from there.
Yeah, so obviously there's still at the end of the day a final expense lead, but just the higher intents there, you don't have to worry about disconnected numbers, nothing like that. Whereas you got the people on Facebook, they're going ad to ad, making sure that, it's a working number and that, they're going to be calling them. So just having that higher intent, knowing it's a working number just makes it that contact rate being a better than, other ones you'd have to worry about disconnect numbers, stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%, brother. So, what I want to first thing I want to hop into with the leads because I'm taking notice is the APs you're writing, bro.
hmm
Writing like really decent sized annual premiums for filing expense. Can you walk us through? I mean, how are you getting there? You just building like strong Ys, closing at higher clips? Because a lot of filing expense agents complain about, man, I can only write $600. You're pulling out 1,100, 1,200. I've seen 15, 18 from you. But can you walk us through, brother? Like, how are you writing those type of premiums off these leads?
Yeah, so biggest thing I always touch on with these is, I work as a broker, so I have access to all the different companies. That way we're able to take a look at all of them, see who's not only going to give you the most amount of coverage, but most affordable rate. My biggest thing, obviously, people like to post big numbers and stuff like that. You're still seeing me get those with the final expense, but I'm still making sure it's going to be affordable for them. So just kind of getting a better understanding of their situation. Yeah, I mean, biggest thing people are going to complain about, yeah, final expense, they're on a fixed income, Social Security. I understand that's their situation, so I'm just kind of going over the options with them, saying, hey, what I'm showing you, these aren't the only two options. We can look at something higher, lower, in between, but biggest thing is making sure it's affordable. Sometimes, if you're doing these apps, biggest thing, with simplified issue, they usually tell you like halfway through if they're approved or not. So if I do see that green light, they're favorable, they did get approved for the coverage, I'll be like, hey, you did get approved for that rate we went over. You actually did get approved for up to whatever the carrier's max amount is, 25,000, 40, 50. Did you want to look higher than that, or did you want to just keep it at what we have right now? What's more affordable for you?
Right. So you're actually like building the value up and then also like kind of not downselling, but like giving them the option to back out a little bit. So it's probably building.
Yeah, because I mean, when I'm going over like pricing, everything like that, once they pick one, I don't just move on, get in the application. I'm like, all right, so if you did get approved for that amount of coverage, that $75 a month, that's something that's still affordable. That's not taking food off the table in it. They say yes right away. If I hear any, like you can hear it, I'm just like, all right, well, just to let you know, once you pick one, it's not like you're always stuck with it. I'd be the one helping you out moving forward, so we could always make adjustments in the future. So biggest thing is making sure it's something that's affordable. So is that $75 a month for the 15,000 coverage? Is that something you're comfortable starting with, or do we need to look at something higher or lower than that?
Right. Right.
Because you'd
Now,
be surprised how many people they think the options you show them like that's the only thing. So just
yeah.
letting them know like what's out there and stuff, just giving them that option of what to look at makes
Yeah.
them, want to look into that.
No, 100%. I think one of the things that I've seen you do a really good job at, and I think we need to highlight it, is you read a lot of his and hers. And I personally do know that even in veteran, violent expense, shoot, mortgage and IULs as well, a lot of these people are married, but I've noticed that you write a lot. I guess, is that intentional? Are you booking the appointment with both of them there, or are you just building value throughout the conversation? Because there are agents that do struggle with doing that, specifically with final expense, because they're like, well, only Susie filled it out. So can you walk us through like what are you doing to get that other person involved in the call, bro, and in the close?
Yeah, so I always touch on it on the very beginning of the call and at the very end once I sell them. So very beginning of the call, if it's someone that answers, I'm just like, hey, so were you just looking for coverage for, I'm reaching out about the request. Were you just looking for coverage for yourself, or were you looking for another family member, a loved one as well? So I'll ask them in the beginning, and then they'll tell me right off the bat, yeah, me and my husband. And then let's say maybe I don't ask in the beginning, or they just say, "Oh, I'm only looking for myself at the beginning." At the end, after I close them, everything like that, I'll ask again at the end. I'm like, "Hey, I'm not sure if I asked you at the beginning of this, but were you only looking for yourself, or were you looking for like a spouse or another family member or friend that was
Mm.
looking into this as well?" So in the beginning, if they tell me only for myself in the beginning, I'm still gonna ask at the end, like as if I didn't ask. Like, sometimes they'll change their mind. Hey, like this process was a lot simpler than I thought. I'm definitely gonna like refer you to, let's get my spouse set up. I'll refer you to some people who are looking into this. So to sum that up, I'm asking in the beginning and at the end.
Dang, so I didn't even know that, bro. So you're not even like going in and making the other spouse be there for the appointment or anything like that. You're adding that to your script essentially.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes if like they're both there, great. I mean, it's like, all right, if you're looking for them, do they need to be on the call as well, or are you going to be paying for both? And what I've been running into, like I said, everyone's situation's different, but what I run into, like I'll just ask like, do they need to be on the call? If they do, if they're not already there, then I'll book the appointment. But if I ask them and they say, hey, no, I can make the decision for both of us, you're not going to know unless you ask. So that's why I do go about that.
Yeah. And I actually like that, brother. I actually really like that. Are you still mainly doing one call closes? Are you booking appointments with these final expense leads? What's that look like for you?
Final expense for the most part. These people are home all day. Like I used to be someone that was horrible. Oh, you can't talk right now? Okay, set an appointment for later. You're gonna learn really quick, people don't want to get back. They're just being nice. So I really push for call to close because I mean if it's really that important to them, they're gonna take the time to get it done right now. I mean, one of my his and hers the other day, I think it was 2 days ago. She was like Uber driving the whole time, like she was talking on the phone,
Really?
so I've seen, like I said, if you're whether you've been in the business or if you're a new agent, biggest thing, touch on race to 100 presentations. You've pretty much ran into every scenario, excuse, everything like that. So I've done enough presentations to where I see the people that's important to them. Hey, they'll pull over for the text code, pull up their banking. You can actually tell they're taking the time to, look for their banking and everything like that. So
Right.
I know it's important to them. Otherwise, they wouldn't have filled it out in the first place. So hey, let's get this knocked out right now.
Why do you like final expense, man? Didn't you? Like I think I know the answer, but for the people that don't know, in a place where it's a lot of veterans, IULs, truckers, I mean, all these things, and you have remained pretty consistent. Can you walk us through why you did that? And if there's an agent that's on the fence, why you think that may be a good move for them too?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, like most people, they do start on final expense. That's, it's a simple sale. And for me, I kind of, learned the hard way because I'd see, like you said, people, there's veterans, there's IULs, there's those bigger premiums. I would chase around because of that, but you got to find what works for you and just stick with it. Just me, the type of person, I've just always been that caring person. I like to help others, put others before myself sometimes. So it's just a nice, simple sale. It works for me. I tried veterans and stuff like that. Bigger premiums, that's where it's at. But it's like that conversation, like I'm not being myself on those calls. I'm trying to be someone else. So I guess for people who are on the fence, I mean, if you're feeling discouraged, hey, I'm only getting this, people are killing it with veteran strugglers. It's like find what works for you and just stick with it. Because when you start hopping around and everything, I mean, you're not gonna get the best results doing that.
Yeah, dude, I think that's for those that don't know, me and Shareef are mad cool. We had some conversations and we were trying to like game plan. We tried a few things and we're just like, yo, just go back to the bread and butter, man. And we haven't looked back since. I want to touch on that real quick though, because we've been working together for maybe 3 years. I don't know. It's been a while now, but the number one thing that I will give you kudos in front of everybody for is your communication. And I wholeheartedly believe that's the difference between your success and any other person that we work with, specifically for final expense, but just in general of like clients that we've had, brother. Can you walk people through, like even before we even had this conversation, just so you all are clear, he sent a message. You don't have to regurgitate what you said, but you do that a lot and it helps you. But can you walk somebody through why that's important, bro? Like, because I tell people all the time to do it and they don't do it, and you've done it, and it's clear why we work together so well. But can you just please, that's just for me super important for people to understand like the value in that, brother, and like why you've continued to do that.
No, yeah, I'm actually glad you brought that up because it's like that's the biggest thing why, like you said, we've worked well with each other is like, people they'll run into one bad week or something, they'll complain about the leads, go vendor to vendor. And it's like that's how I was. And I learned the hard way doing that. So I had to realize it's like, just building that relationship. That's why I start with you. Every other vendor I kind of ran into is just kind of, transactional and stuff. But once I started to be more communicative. That's what helped because like you said, the message I sent the other day, hey, this is what's working. That's this is what's not working before than just like complaining and figuring it out. It's just like, hey, even if it's just like not, if you even if you do have something to address, say, hey, this is what I ran into. So yeah, that's exactly what I did with you the other day. Just kind of do like those updates weekly. Hey, this is what's working. This wasn't was working. What I ran into. So I'm glad you touched on that because before, I mean, as long as you're communicating, like you're not gonna know what to fix because that's gonna help you only, better the leads, ads, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm glad you touched on that because, rather than just complaining it, running vendor to vendor, you're gonna run in the same scenario. Just say, this is what's working, this is what's not. What can we do? Just as long as you address the problem, it's gonna help you to see what you need to work on. It's gonna help, you as well, making the leads and ads even better than they already are right now.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think wholeheartedly that is the secret. People have asked me, "Hey, you've helped all these agents and agency owners over the years. What's the number one key? What's the success intro, the hack, this and that?" I'm like, "Look, you wanna have a long relationship, even if it's not with me. If it's with any lead company, you need to communicate because they don't know what they don't know. You're working with hundreds of people, and one person says the leads are great, the other person hates them. They're, oh, do this. The other person says, don't do this, don't keep that. At the end of the day, if you don't have any feedback and you just move off of complaints, your business is not successful. And, as an agent too, it doesn't help when there's no clear communication. And I think Shareef has done an amazing job because it helps my team. They love it. Like they'll even report back to me like, oh my goodness, I wish everybody did that. Just to give them a glimpse of kind of give them a quick glimpse. You don't have to use all the words, but can you give an example of what that looks like? Like even maybe the message you said without, you can take out whatever you want, but can you kind of explain to them what that would look like communicating with us and, tactically what they could say?
Yeah, like biggest thing I point out, like, hey, from some of my sales, like these were really good conversations. So maybe taking a look into the what ads, we're running for those. So like that was the first thing I brought up. Hey, these not only the sales that I got, they were actually like really good conversations. It's not like I might have go like, carrier to carrier figure it out. So I wanted to address that. Maybe if something I was getting consistent, like the same answer in the intro, like I would address that. Hey, in this state, I'm getting a lot of this, so maybe look into that. But that was pretty much the two biggest things I touched on when I had reached out to you. Like, hey, based on my sales, these were the ones that had the great conversations. Maybe in this state or this area, this is what I was consistently getting. So maybe look into that a little bit.
Yeah, I think the thing, guys and girls that are listening for this, is that he's not just reporting the good, he's not reporting the bad, he's just reporting everything, right? He's saying, hey, I have had good conversations here. Even though I didn't sell them, let's take a look, right? I had really bad intros here. Let's also take a look here. The sales are clear, right? It's going to be green on the sheet, it's going to be in the channel. We're going to celebrate that. But in order to have success, we have to look at everything, right? And I think that's super, super key. Before we hop off, brother, because I wanted to be quick, but I also wanted to kind of hit them with a few quick nuggets. Is there anything that you would like give to agents in terms of like working with us, the leads themselves, just kind of, take the floor, but anything that you think is important specifically for like these final expense leads and agents that are working them?
Yeah, especially yeah, working with you too. Like I said, that was the biggest thing you touched on, just communicating. As long as you're reaching out, I mean, everyone's situation's different. You might, like I remember like one of our calls, like we hopped on a call and then like you had reached out to me, hey, my head wasn't all there. You reached out, figured out a game plan. So it's just like as long as if you're gonna come out, just like don't just, buy a batch test out, say, hey, this is what I've been running into, this is what I want to do. What do you think's the best route for me to go on? Because that's what when we communicated, that's what it was. It's like, okay, yeah, this is working for everyone else, but with what you're telling me and what your concerns are, this is probably what you should do. It's not like you're saying everyone's doing this, get on this. It's like, all right, everyone's doing well with this, but based on your situation, this is what's probably going to work best for you. And at the day, I mean, it's final expense. You're keeping it simple. So biggest thing, yeah, like I said, when you had said like for the referrals too, I get his and hers, just keeping it simple off the bat. Yeah, hey, I was just the one calling you about the request you responded to about the final expense coverage. I feel like that's where a lot of people too, I wanted to touch on, kind of get confused as, final expense burial life insurance. I kind of do it based on age. If they're like what I've noticed, because I mean, some of these people who fill out the ads, you'd be surprised. Oh no, I wasn't calling about the final expense. I was calling about the life insurance coverage. So usually, if it's like, you'd be surprised how many of them don't know the difference. But that's what I started to learn. So like, usually like 55 and below, I'll say like the final expense life insurance. If they're, over 55, over 60, I'll usually say, final expense burial coverage. You'd be surprised. Even though it's a few simple words, it does make a difference. But that's what I've kind of noticed. Because that even like I said, when I'll say final expense, oh, you mean the life insurance coverage? So kind of working with based on the age, working on that. That's the biggest thing I touch on, but just really keeping it simple. I talk to dozens of families a week. Some just want to take care of final expenses. Some want to leave a little bit extra behind, a mixture of both. What was your main reason of concern when you had filled this out? Getting them to talk, not just asking. I'm assuming, I mean, you want to assume the sale, but you don't want to just making sure they're not just only answering yes or no questions. You want to get them to talk about it and open up because everyone's situation's different.
Yeah, no, 100%, brother. And you touched on a few really key things. Number one, the why. Number two, which is evident in the ads because of what we've kind of changed, is like now we're super, super video heavy. I know when you started with us, years ago, we had really all images. We had really no videos. Now we have, we might have two, maybe images. Most of the things that we're throwing are very, very, very video heavy because we can put a lot more emphasis on the life insurance piece, which is evident because you have people saying, no, 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 not final expense. I want the life insurance, which is
Yeah.
hilarious because that's typically people's biggest objection with final expense leaves that they think it's free, that they think it's some state, whatever. Whereas with this, they're telling you life insurance because, they're primed up from the video. So yeah, brother, I appreciate you hopping on and genuinely. I think this will be useful with final expense not being the most popular thing. They need a little bit of game for the people that do buy, so at least they have an understanding of like what it looks like and how they can be successful with us. So I appreciate you for hopping on, man. Thank you. For those that have tuned in, you can catch Shareef in the Discord. If you have questions, you can just ping him, hit him up. I'm sure he'll help you guys out for anything that you need. And I will see you all next time. Appreciate your time, brother. Talk soon.